There is use of a fishman transmogrifying or changing in the genealogy pages of Luke, demonstrating that, according to Miranda Green in her book Celtic Myths, the close religious affinity between the Celts and animals manifests itself clearly in two ways. The first concerns the representation of gods in semi-zoomorphic form. The second is the metamorphosis or shape changing. On 201 recto, the fishman points to the line Iona. Scholarship has demonstrated this to be a means of understanding the book's provenance with Columba, where he established a Christian community and pilgrimage point for the faithful on the island of High, which was later to become known as Iona. This detail venerates Columba as the dove of the church, according to Adam Nan, biographer of Columba and ninth abbot of Iona. For indeed, he says, the dove, Columba, is a simple and innocent bird. Therefore, a simple and innocent person was rightly called this by name, since he, with dove-like disposition, offered the Holy Spirit a dwelling in himself. The fishman draws attention to the line as the sign of Iona, Latin for Jonah, the sign which Christ gives. This sign appears to make known the importance of animal sacrifice and ritual for the Celts and for other peoples as a means of communicating with the supernatural, prompting the question as to what these animals represented. It is possible that beasts were perceived as being close enough to humans to be substitutes for human sacrifice. The detail on 201 recto displays not only a nota bene, a detail with special importance of the book's provenance and importance to Columba, but also the significance of the transmogrification of the fishman to the fish, which recurs throughout the book, and to an allusion of Christ's Eucharistic sacrifice and transubstantiation. Additionally significant regarding the detail on 201 recto and on 34 recto, the incipit page of Christ's genealogy, is each detail's association with genealogy. Genealogy is revered by the Celts as a means of associating themselves with ancestors, which Sharon Pace MacLeod describes in Celtic myth and religion as, quote, the concept of lineage is important in traditional societies, and it is often perceived that the more ancient and the more sacred the lineage, the better those ancestral foundations can support the community. The identity of ancestors as well as elders and teachers often forms part of creation myths. Connection with the past helps members of a community realize their own sacrality and understand that they are part of a greater whole. The ability to walk in the footsteps of the ancestors and follow time-honored traditions guides people in their daily lives and religious activities, which in traditional societies are completely interwoven, end quote. The fact that a symbolic representation of Columba is grafted onto Christ's lineage founds him as a saint of great import to the book, and likewise connects the fish and or Christ to the community in an ancestral context. With greater understanding of the motif as a visual cue and device, the apotropaic significance behind the initial example on 34 recto of the manuscript develops further. The full-page miniature becomes more than a prompt for the viewer to follow the notable fish portrayed and fleshed out throughout the Gospel manuscript. The contrasting black gall creature launching the fish applies terms like sigillum, signaculum, and signum, for it seems the 20th century face value observation made by Francois Henri that a seal creature holds the fish on 34 recto turns out to have some contextual validity. Its proximity within the Cairo iota monogram to autem generatio begs for linguistic exploration. Sigillum, or signaculum, literally meaning seal, touches what the modern viewer sees at first glance. The black blot of ink, previously identified as an otter or seal, suddenly rings true. Then the application of the word signum is emphasized. Its role within an already important monogram, stemming from the Greek word monogramma, meaning intertwined letters, not only underscores Christ's name, it draws attention to his genealogical lineage to David and subsequently to Solomon as a wise king. Signum, literally meaning sign, signal, cue, seal, significant, token, encompasses the cue's importance. The presence of a fish and otter or seal in this monogram fulfills that of a signum being a sign, a signal, a cue, as significant, and, as it will be argued, also a seal and token. The gospel accounts, particularly visually and textually articulated by the innumerable fish examples here in Kells, not only record the words and actions of Christ, the authors also delineate the divinity of Christ. The narrative of this divinity begins with a lineage linked to King David as a branch of Jesse's tree. As a symbol defined by knowledge and wisdom, the fish leads us to the figurehead that follows King David's reign. King Solomon, David's son, and an author in his own right, is synonymous with wisdom and good fortune. While Solomon is not perfect, he rules his kingdom wholly and justly. The justice and fairness with which he reigns is bestowed upon Solomon by God. The infallibility and sinless nature of Christ is related through Solomon by actually being one in the Godhead. Solomon, like Christ, uses earth as his footstool and has power over demons, spirits, animals, and the elements, namely water, earth, air, and fire. Solomon's wisdom, intellect, and power is made manifest in a ring that God gives him through the archangel Michael. The ring, dependent on the bearer, imprints a seal of either the name of God or the Star of David, according to the Testament of Solomon. Created by Israel's second king, Solomon, it's suggested to be the shape of his shield. The Star of David is composed of two triangles. One points upwards and the other points downwards. This is designed to confuse demons and protect the bearer. The number 4, the number of gospel accounts, is not only used as an identifier for the realms of the rule, it is also associated with the 4 elements: fire, water, air, and earth. The two triangles represent the reconciliation between the elemental opposites, fire and water. Fire is represented by the triangle pointing upward, and water is represented by the triangle pointing downward. And air and earth are triangles with the horizontal lines running through their centers.